Do you hear that?
Yeah, I do hear that.
No, it can't be.
No! Blue Pie Ukraine, please, have mercy.
We need to watch another. It's the only way to save us from this hell.
This video is brought to you by Rogue Energy. When I'm up in my room editing, writing, or gaming, I love to have a good drink with me. It keeps me focused and relaxed. Rogue Energy is absolutely my go-to drink. It is much healthier than any other energy drink. It has zero sugar, it is gluten-free, and paleo-friendly. They have 16 delicious flavors available like Radiant Rush, Rocket Pop, Sour Candy, Grape Popsicle, and many more. Rogue also has hydration available with flavors like Fruit Punch, Rainbow Candy, and Strawberry Bubblegum. Head on over to rogueenergy.com to get your energy or hydration drinks, starter kits, or shaker cups, and use code BBDIZ10 for 10% off your entire order. Thank you to Rogue Energy, and again, use code BBDIZ10 for 10% off your entire order. Now, let's get back to the video. During the late 1930s, the popularity of Mickey Mouse started to fall behind Donald Duck and Goofy. This is mainly the reason to why Donald was primarily featured in Saludos Amigos and The Three Caballeros. Walt Disney wanted to boost Mickey's popularity, and he attempted to do so by creating some shorts, such as The Brave Little Tailor and The Sorcerer's Apprentice in Fantasia. Walt wanted Mickey to star in his own feature, and he knew the time was near.
An idea for a feature film was pitched by Bill Cottrell and T. He to Walt Disney. The idea was to adapt the fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk, which is a story that everyone is familiar with since the origins of the folktale date all the way back to 1734. Disney would base the film off Jack and the Beanstalk, and Mickey, Donald, and Goofy would star as the main characters. Walt loved the idea and burst out laughing when he heard the pitch, according to animators.
Production began on May 2nd, 1940. At the same time that production was beginning for Mickey and the Beanstalk, another film was in the works at Disney Animation. Disney's acquisition of the film rights to the 1930s story Little Bear Bongo by Sinclair Lewis was big news at the time. In 1941, a feature film based on Bongo was put into production.
Bongo was going to be a prequel to Dumbo, and maybe even some of the cast of Dumbo would return for the film. Some story elements of the early drafts included a chimpanzee friend of Bongo named Beverly or Chimpy. His name changed during early production. Other differences to the final film was Bongo's love interest had a few different names and design. She was originally named Susie and then Silver Ear.
Lumpjaw, the enemy of the story, had a different design initially. Originally, he wore street clothes. There were also two mischievous bear cubs that Bongo and Chimpy would encounter quite often throughout the film. The Bongo feature film would be set in a circus, and the characters were designed to look like realistic animals. The script was finished on December 8th, 1941, the day after the Pearl Harbor attack.
The United States was going to war, and because of this, Disney halted production on Bongo, Mickey and the Beanstalk, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and Cinderella. It also didn't help that because of World War II, Disney's foreign release market had been cut off, and most of their talented artists were drafted into the war.
During and after the war, we all know that Disney was producing package films to save money because of how much it cost to make a feature film. Even after the war, Walt wanted to still release content, but save money, so Disney continued to release the package films. When the time was right to put Mickey and the Beanstalk and Bongo back into production, it was decided that they weren't going to be a feature film.
Mickey and the Beanstalk was going to be paired with The Wind in the Willows and be titled Two Fabulous Characters. But Sometime in production, Mickey and the Beanstalk was cut from that package film and paired with Bongo instead. Production began on this new film. Celebrities were casted to introduce the segments. These celebrities included Edgar Bergen and Dinah Shore narrated and sang in the Bongo film, Luana Patton, and Billy Gilbert, who was cast as Willie the Giant. While Mickey and the Beanstalk was going through some rewrites after World War II, a few scenes were deleted.
One of these changes was the scene when Mickey took his cow to market. Originally, Honest John and Gideon from Pinocchio were to make an appearance and swindle Mickey into selling his cow for magic beans. There was also a version of the scene where the Queen was played by Minnie Mouse, and Mickey was going to give the cow to her as a gift, and she was the one to give him the magic beans. This scene was cut when the feature was shortened for Fun and Fancy Free.
Around this time, Walt Disney decided to retire from voicing Mickey Mouse due to being too busy to do so. Fun and Fancy Free was actually the last time he voiced Mickey, until he reprised the role in The Mickey Mouse Club. Walt passed the role to Jimmy McDonald after this film. Contrary to popular belief, Walt Disney voiced all of Mickey's lines in this film.
Fun and Fancy Free has an interesting character featured in it, that character being Jiminy Cricket. It's not very often that Walt Disney took a character from one feature and put him into another, but that's exactly what happened here. Jiminy appears in Fun and Fancy Free and sings I'm a Happy-Go-Lucky Fellow, which is an original song. The scene then transitions to Edgar Bergen and his sidekick Ventriloquist Dummies, and they will narrate the next story.
Jiminy Cricket's cameo is actually how the film starts. He stumbles upon a record player and some records. He uses it to play Dinah Shore narrating the Bongo story. Bongo is a circus bear cub who is mistreated by the circus owners. Because of this, he runs away into the wild. Jiminy Cricket appears again in between the segments and introduces Edgar Bergen to narrate Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Mickey and the Beanstalk is based on Jack and the Beanstalk, of course. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy play peasants, and Mickey is forced to sell their cow for magic beans. The magic beans then grow into a giant beanstalk, where a giant lives at the top. They climb the beanstalk and find the magic harp stolen from their town. They decide to rescue the harp and cut down the beanstalk, so Willie the Giant cannot follow them down the beanstalk.
Fun and Fancy Free was released on September 27, 1947. It received mixed reviews and made $3.165 million at the US box office. Mickey and the Beanstalk has gotten far more fanfare than Bongo has. The short was repurposed and aired on television multiple times over the years.
Fun and Fancy Free was released on VHS in 1982 and was re-released in 1997 and 2000. It was released on DVD in 2000. The shorts were released separately too in 1988 and 1989. Mickey and the Beanstalk and the Brave Little Tailor even served as inspiration for the store Sir Mickey's, which opened in Fantasyland at Disneyland Paris in 1992 and the Magic Kingdom in 1996.
Detail in Sir Mickey's that I love is if you walk into the store, you can look up and see Willie the Giant literally raising the roof to peek into the store, something that he does in the actual film too. Walt Disney set out to make Mickey more popular, and he did accomplish that goal, but Mickey's popularity was still less than Donald's and Goofy's after Fun and Fancy Free and The Brave Little Tailor.
Well, that was an hour and 15 minutes of my life that I will never get back. Probably the most boring movie I've ever watched in my entire life. I want them to make music again. I want them to make my music once again. Like, please start making music again.
I wish that we could go back to a time when We Not Make Mine music was the worst thing Disney had made in the package film era.
I wish too. That was a different era. that was a simpler time.
Mm-hmm. Bring back Blue Bayou Crane.
I wanted to see the Blue Bayou Crane so bad on my screen. I stopped the movie and watched Blue Bayou Crane for a little bit. Just to cleanse it. So let's get into what we mean a little bit. So
this movie's bad.
Yeah, I think it's because there's only two um films in this. I
I don't think
think
that's the reason why. And we're gonna see in a couple months when we get to Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I
oh,
don't
that's
think the
true. That's
number
true.
of films matters.
That's true. That's true. But when the two films are, one is horrible and then one is not as strong as the re-release, that certainly does not help. um,
Mm-hmm.
but so Bongo, it's just boring. Like really, you don't really fall in love with the characters at all. You really don't care about what Bongo is going through. They give you no time to really fully understand what this character is going through. He's basically going through animal cruelty, and it's a really kind of important subject for a kids film to be talking about, but they don't really talk about that very much. They just kind of skip over the fact that he's going through this kind of thing. And it would be much better, I think, if they took a lot more time to follow that storyline, and then show him getting freed into the wild, because you would care a lot more about the character. But
They definitely
um,
dropped the ball. Bongo is never fully fleshed out. We never really learned about his character, and there's these prolonged scenes where it's just him gallivanting through the wilderness.
yeah,
Wasted time. The animation feels cheap. The characters are odd. The songs are god awful. And on top of that, one of the major plot points is domestic abuse, which is treated as a joke. It's an all around horrible, horrible segment.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's also kind of disappointing because it's based on a pre-existing IP. It's based on something that Walt Disney bought. Um, and also I'm sure that the pre-existing IP and the book and record that were, especially the book that was released after the short came out, I'm sure that it's a much beloved character for a lot of people, but it's just very disappointing when something like this, when you go rewatch it again as an adult, like I'm sure many people are, who grew up with the Bongo stories, it's very disappointing to realize how bad of a movie it truly is. I mean, the song isn't even that great. Like most of the time we're like, okay, the movie is not that great, the film is not strong, but the music slaps. The music is so good.
Like
What was the
Moana.
oh, no, no.
I truthfully don't think there's anything at all redeeming about this segment.
I don't think so too. It's boring. It, it doesn't um it's not timeless. Like it doesn't age well. Um the sleeping segment is very strange. That was a time that they could have used way better animation that they did to show the like beauty of the forest and like kind of the scary elements of the forest, but then him kind of coming to grips with the beauty of it. I feel like that is also way underutilized because it's very strange how they did that scene, I think, at least.
Mhm.
Um,
So what are you giving this segment out of 10? What's your score for
mm,
Bongo?
it's boring. There's just nothing there. I mean, the bear dance is weird too. I'm giving it a 2. I mean, I could easily give it a 1, but it was fun to make fun of it during watching it. So I'm going to give it a 2.
That's fair. For me, the lowest segment that I've had so far in this whole journey has been Blue Bayou at I forget what I gave Blue Bayou. I think a 1, I want to
Yeah,
say.
I think we probably both, no, we gave it a 2 because of, I know I gave it a 2 because of Blue Bayou Ukraine.
I may have as well. Well, regardless, for me, Bongo is getting a 1. I think Bongo is the new low.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think anything touches Love is a Drug because like that is like there's just a colors on the screen. There's that horse thing that they're riding on. There's the the bird, whatever, I forget his name. We're gonna see him again soon, I think.
Jose?
Um no, the one that keeps popping up everywhere. I think we're gonna
Oh,
see he
the
pops up in
Arukan bird? The Arukan bird?
yeah, he pops up in Melody Time, doesn't he? Yeah,
We'll
so
have
we're
to
gonna
find
see
out.
him again because he's on the train tracks and about to be hit by the train. It's like it's a bunch of stuff going on in that scene, and that has no storyline at all. This at least has some sort of overarching theme, that doesn't have anything at all. So that I don't think is going to be topped, at least for me.
I'd rather have something, for me personally, that doesn't have a story, but it has some degree of interest, for something that has a
That's
story
true.
but's boring. So
That's
for
true.
me personally, though. After the horrible story of Bongo, Jiminy Cricket sees an invitation to a party that's going on across the street. The invitation states that it's a party for a young girl named Luana Patton, and at the party are special guests Edgar Bergen and 2 of his puppets. Those would be Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snerd. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
these segments
this is a live action part.
Yeah.
And this is so creepy.
Yeah. Not only is it creepy, it interrupts the story. Like I see why they took this out of the re-release. Like it's god awful because it literally interrupts the good part of Mickey and the Beanstalk, and it doesn't make any sense. First of all, it doesn't make any sense why this guy is at this girl's birthday party. You know, maybe the parents hired him for entertainment, right? You know,
but where are the parents?
Where are they? Like,
where are the other children?
Where's the party too? Because like she has like one present and like that's it. Like what's going on here? So it's like the segment is just weird. Like it doesn't make any sense why it doesn't make any sense why it keeps interrupting the story too. I understand the celebrity star power there. He was a very popular ventriloquist at the time.
Oh, he's the most famous ventriloquist ever.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he inspired what's that guy's name? Jeff Dunham. His puppets, right?
He inspired me to become a ventriloquist. I'm just kidding. I'm not a ventriloquist.
Okay.
I would never be a ventriloquist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, unbelievable celebrity to have in this, but it's like, why does he keep interrupting this? It's not fun.
Why does he need to be here?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like,
other than narrating the story. It's okay for him to be narrating the story, but it's just weird how they present it.
It's like, Dane, if you were to make a video about the history of the Orange Bird and you hired Shaquille O'Neal as your guest star, like, that'd be cool to get Shaq on the show. But why are you getting Shaq for the Orange Bird?
Maybe he wants to talk about the Orange Bird.
So anyways,
yeah,
at this very strange birthday party,
the
ventriloquist starts to tell a story to the puppets and the little girl. That story being Mickey and the Beanstalk. A story that, it's worth mentioning, as Dane stated, is interrupted multiple times by the puppets and the little girl. How do you feel about this story, Dane?
The actual story, I like it. I think the actual story of Mickey and the Beanstalk, the re-release version, is very strong. I think that story is a classic Mickey story. It's getting back to basics. You know, I mean, it was made in 1947, so it is the basics, but at the time, there wasn't a lot of Mickey shorts being made. After this, you would have Band Leader and Brave Little Tailor. And like we said before, this was really Walt Disney trying to make Mickey popular again. And I know you know a lot about that, Ryan, so you can take that a little bit later. But I like this short a lot. It's a fun retelling. I wish they would have had Minnie as the queen. I wish they wouldn't have cut that scene. I wish they explained how he got the beans and who he got the beans from. But for me, I absolutely love this segment. If the ventriloquist was not there. So I absolutely love
he bring it down.
And I think that's what hurts this film a lot, is that these were supposed to be feature films, and I really do believe that Bongo would have spoken in the feature film. Like, there's no way he wouldn't.
Bongo speaks.
Bongo not speaking is actually something we didn't talk about. That's also why it's really bad, because
Dumbo doesn't.
You don't have speaking throughout the entire film. Like, you don't have any dialogue with the character. But we're talking about making the beats up. If these were feature films, I think it would be a lot better. Because they were supposed to be feature films, like we said, and then they were cut a lot. So there was a lot of important things that they cut, like where did Mickey get the beans from? So like things like that would have been included if they were in feature films. So honestly, for me, with this short, if it was the re-release version that was on Fun and Fancy Free and didn't have the ventriloquist, I would have given it easily an 8 or a 9. But because the ventriloquist is in it, I'm giving it a 5.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Because it's high a little bit, but I just love the short so much. But it drops a lot because of the ventriloquist dummy.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah. How about you? What's your rating of it? I'm curious of this too.
Mickey and the Beanstalk is a fine story. It's never been my favorite Mickey Mouse story. I think there's a lot of ones I prefer. I definitely prefer The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
For sure.
And Brave Little Tailor if we're talking some of the more medieval-based ones. And I don't know, I think there's just so many more classic Mickey Mouse stories that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad story by any means, but I never had much of an emotional connection to it. Plus, that ventriloquist who won't stop interrupting the story. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Horrible. Brings it to a 3 for me. This whole movie's bad. I know we were talking a lot of trash about Make Mine Music last month, but
God, Make Mine Music, dude, every single
Make Mine Music is Citizen Kane compared to this.
Thank God we are hopefully gonna get better package films going on, because like it seems like after every, besides Saludos Amigos, the Three Caballeros, after that, and then after Make Mine Music now, it's like, okay, the previous one compared to this makes it look like Oppenheimer mixed with Gone with the Wind. Like it's like it's the previous films are the best films known to man. It's Casablanca Make Mine Music over here.
I think Blue Bayou Crane.
Like, when honestly, is the one?
Why is he not the Disney mascot?
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, Blue Bayou Crane. Like, think of the most iconic characters in history, right? You got
Blue Bayou Crane.
You got Sherlock Holmes. You've got who else?
James Bond.
Tom Sawyer, James Bond, Mickey Mouse,
George Washington,
Luke Skywalker, Abraham Lincoln in Lincoln 2012.
And in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
That's true.
Michael Scott.
Yeah. Any of the Disney princesses. And then right
Romeo
up
and
there,
Juliet.
Absolutely. Right up there at number 1. Who do you have? Blue Bayou Crane.
For Big Beautiful Diz.
No, you have Blue Bayou Crane. He's above me.
Yeah, him too.
He's above me. Number 1 for me, Blue Bayou Crane. I said while watching this that hopefully Bongo is or the love interest for Bongo is probably, hopefully, Coda's mother and Brother Bear, the one that Kanai stabs, because I want these characters to never appear in another feature film for Disney ever again, and they didn't. No, I'm not even gonna thank you for watching this, honestly. Like we went through some torture tonight. Let's be real. Where can we find you at a better place?
You can find me at Cases of Continuity on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, going through the Sherlock Holmes series. Check me out there.
And everyone, I mean, you're already watching my channel, so hopefully you've subscribed by now. Also, let me know what you think about Fun and Fancy Free in the comments. Hopefully you've seen the re-release of Mickey and the Beanstalk and not the full film. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.